Hi, everyone. Welcome to America's Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Desma, and welcome to today. Hey, man, sorry about that. I had some delays. Something was going on with the internet here, or something was locking up on Rumble. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, welcome to today's show. Today is an America's Podcast. We're just going to give you some updates on the daily news of what happened last night's elections and what's been happening today. Ever since we found out the winner, which is President Trump. He won won the whole presidential election, and there's just a lot of changes that were being made along the way, right? So, and whether you voted for him or you didn't, this podcast, America's Podcast, we are unbiased, so we don't go left, we don't go right, we don't admit it. We just kind of we give you the news as it comes in, right? But there's a lot of things that changed right he as soon as he won the elections last night. I Me and the wife stayed up till about, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock. I stayed up till about midnight watching it till they closed it down, right? It's like, no, we won't know anything till tomorrow. And then of course, coming aside, they shut it down out there. The party that was happening out there, and then of course I didn't find out anything till this morning. Once I woke up and then found out what's happening. After we knew who had won, right? And it is what it is. Whether you liked him or you don't, or you do if you don't, it things made changes, and because it's going to affect our economic structure. It really, in reality, it has already since that day, or even a little bit before. But before we get going, I just want to thank all the military out there: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, even Space Force, National Guard, the Coast Guard as well. They do a major service to us here in the United States, and as patriots, and they protect us from everything out there. And even we thank the people that have made the ultimate sacrifice as well. We always thank our military here at America's Podcast, because that's what we're about. We're patriots here, and we love everything American, right? So America's Podcast, what we're about here, we don't, like I said, we don't do left, right, nothing. We will tell the news, we do politics, we do stories, we do I did a podcast on the possibly nuclear war with Putin, and because he's been wanting to push that button for some reason. And then TikTok, some guy blew up on there, not blew himself up, but he started noticing he was tracking a lot of activity, that these nuclear weapons that he had on his end actually turned these things on, right? And and it came out on our end that he had actually activated three nuclear uh, silos, whatever, and just kind of turned them on, make sure they still worked. I guess that's what they were doing. But we scrambled all over the United States. I don't know if you saw that. There was aircraft everywhere. I have a different podcast about something totally different, but we always watching the aircraft, and we use a lot of apps, and they've been noticing a lot of activity that's been happening in our Gulf waters, Pacific, the Atlantic, and there's just been a lot of military movement all over the place because what we thought. But before we get going, after everything, and they got they knew that he was going to win. There was a strategist there on CNN last night, and he actually said something. And think about it this way: us as working people, and how hard it's been to struggle. For the working, blue collar person, to make ends meet. You got a family. Some of us have big families, some of us have small families. But and in the jobs, because our dollar is not worth a dollar anymore. Our dollar is like I said, 42 cents, something like that. I did do an audio podcast earlier on Spreaker, so I will put it up after this as well. And I talk about a little bit what I'm touching on base right now. But and it's hard for us Americans to make ends meet, right? So and this is what this strategist was talking on CNN. I'm just going to bring it up to you guys. Check this out real quick.
Mandate has won the national popular vote for the first time for a Republican, for the first time since 2004. This is a big deal. This isn't backing into the office. This is a mandate to do what you said you were going to do. Get the economy working again for regular working class Americans, fix immigration, try to get crime under control, try to reduce the chaos in the world. This is a mandate from the American people to do that. I think I'm interpreting the results tonight as the revenge of just the regular old working class American, the anonymous American who has been crushed insulted, condescended to. They're not garbage. They're not Nazis. They're just regular people who get up and go to work every day and are trying to make a better life for their kids, and they feel like they have been told to just shut up when they have complained about the things that are hurting them in their own lives. I also feel like this election, as we sit here and pour over this tonight, is something of an indictment of the political information complex. I mean, we've been sitting around here for the last couple of weeks, and the story that was portrayed was not true.
Yeah, so he was talking about what they were reporting in the news for, for all these years, for these couple of years, past 2 years, about the news of the narrative that they were going to do this and they were going to do that, but it was not. None of that came true, right? Or wasn't true, because on the polls they could never predict what was going to happen, right? And what happened was, as soon as Trump won, the stock market took off all of a sudden, right? There was a spike in the stock market. So it says the Dow Jones went up about 1,508 points, right? So it shot up real quick, right? And CNBC said something about this. Says stock futures were near flat on Wednesday night after a huge market rallying around Donald Trump, right? After the victory of the presidential election, traders were awaiting the Federal Reserve interest rate decision Thursday afternoon. The futures of the Dow Industrial Average added about 25 points, right? So, in other words, it shot up real quick because people are starting to notice that, okay, something's going to change here. They know that there's going to be some sort of growth in the business industry, right? Oil and gas, people that are the car industry, things like that, shipping, anything that has to do with that. It's going to start fluctuating in the dollar. Like right now, the dollar is only worth like 42 cents, right? So if you really look at it, and what's going to happen is it's not going to happen right away. So just when he becomes the first day he's going to sit in office, they have to figure all this out with strategies, and then they're going to have to try to figure out how to put more money in your pocket. Right. First thing is our energy. Right. Energy is what's fueled anything that has to do with oil and gas, the propane, things like that. Right. So of course they're going to start drilling. He's probably going to go through the Alaskan pipeline that they're going to that they had planned already. I'm sure that's going to reopen back up, but they're probably going to have some EPA regulations and put them. In other words, they're going to bind them down just a little bit. But once that starts flowing through the market, then that means we don't have to pay so much for Saudi oil or any other countries. You don't have to pay so much, which means your tank of gas, what cost you $100, is now going to cost you $50, right? So in other words, that extra $50 is going to be in your pocket, right? And you'll be able to go buy that extra bucket of chicken or whatever for your family, right? Your dollar's going to stretch a little bit longer, right? You're not going to hesitate to buy that $2 candy bar because your dollar's not worth 42 cents anymore. It's probably worth 62 cents now or 72 cents. So this is how it's going to make things better, right? And you have to look at the big picture, not just of who he is or he's a businessman. He knows how to do numbers. He knows how to build businesses and make them grow, right? And I know a lot of people's were kind of upset with him because he was going to give a big break to these big industries that were, people were saying, "Oh, you're going to give a big tax break," and now that we're going to have to pay for that. No, really, in reality, no, because when you give these big companies big breaks in their taxes, means they hire more people, right? They're able to afford to hire more people, so they don't have to pay such high taxes, right? And it grows, right? So it's just like a mom and pops I was talking about earlier in my audio podcast. It's going to grow, right? Your if you have let's just say a grocery store with 20 employees, right? You're paying so much taxes, really high taxes. That's all you can afford, 20 employees. But once they drop your taxes down a little bit more, you're able to hire 5 more people, right? Put them to work. They get to make more money. Thus, your money circulates now. It starts growing inside the United States of America, which is going to make our economy better, right? And with that, your eggs are not $5, $6, $7 anymore. They're only $2, right? Remember a couple years ago, dozen eggs, $1.39 at the Dollar General, right? Not no more, $4 now, right? So we don't want that. We want the chickens to go get off strike and let's just get this thing going, right? And whether you like this man or you don't, or either way, the changes have to be made. Even Kamala said today, we're going to go ahead and concede, and let's just go ahead and go forward with this, and we're all going to still stick together as Americans and move forward. Right? This is what she was saying. So it's not a bad thing, but what's going to happen is it's going to make this grow a little bit better. I'm going to let you see this strategist real quick, and just so you'll know what I'm talking about. Here we go.
77 Electoral College votes, Donald Trump is the 47th President of the United States of America. Their message on the economy, according to the exit polls, is what took him over the line. He built on black voters, Latino voters. It was the economy that dominated the narrative. 277 for Trump. We're waiting to understand what happens in the House. But these Trump trades are on fire. From the dollar to Tesla to bond yields rising. Ground zero is the dollar. What is the size and scale of tariffs that he will inflict on Europe, on China, and on the rest of the world? The dollar rises, because yields are rising, but just look at this 30-year paper up 21 basis points, S&P futures up 2.25%. As I say, Tesla was up 15% at one juncture. What role will Elon Musk play in this administration? We wait to understand. But what happens with tariffs? What will China have to do to offset any tariffs that come? What will Europe do with tariffs? Look at this. The euro is already $4 billion worth of short positions on the euro dollar going into this, down 1.83%. So these currencies are now on intervention watch.
So there you go. That he pretty much explains it, how the tariffs are going to help our industry here in the United States, because if you really think about it, we've just been throwing money everywhere out of the United States, because we're helping Ukraine, we're helping all these other countries in war. So what we need to do is we need to stop the wars. As soon as we stop the wars, that means we stop with the money, right? And we have to build our own military, our own infrastructure has to grow, right? And if it takes the whole 4 years, that's probably exactly what's going to happen. It's going to take them the whole 4 years to grow our infrastructure back to where it was, right? And it's unfortunate that I don't know what economic strategists that they had for this past administration, but it wasn't working very well. So in other words, like the interest rates, they had to go higher and higher in order to offset everything for people that were buying homes and stuff. So now they said that they might not change the interest rates as much at the very beginning, because we have to get this ball rolling, right, and moving forward, so that way we can get some more money in people's pockets, right? And once we start doing that, then it'll start coming down on the interest rates, so people can buy more homes, or get a better price, get a 20-30 year mortgage, 10-year mortgage, whatever you're going to get. And then it'll help the family in the long run, right? With a better, once you lock in that mortgage rate, you're good to rock and roll. I learned that as a youngster when I got my first house, and I wanted to make sure I locked it in, and I was like, I want it locked in, because if it changes, I want to make sure that my number does not, my interest does not go up or down and fluctuate. But depends what city, what state you're living in. Taxes do go up, which means your price of your mortgage will probably go up as well because of that. That's how that works, man. It's politics, and it's the industrial politics that where you're living in the cities. These people. This is why we have elections, because if there's a city councilman or a mayor or somebody that you don't like in your city, or somebody's not doing a good job, hey, vote them out. So, and this is what my other podcast I talked about before on the audio. I've been doing a lot of audio podcasting. So if you go to America's Podcast, go look for it on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're all over the place now. We are probably about 10 to 12 audio platforms. So go check those out. We've been doing a lot of audio podcasts. We have some new coffee that's going to be coming out. It's called America's Coffee. We're going to have that coming out. I'm drinking some right now. Man, it's amazing. I'm a coffee drinker. I gotta have it, man. So we're gonna have that out soon. Go to where it says all my links on or America's Podcast links on there. You'll see all our social media pages where we post on X, we post everywhere about not just politics, man. We talk about everything. We talked about, like I said, we talked about the war. We talked about how social media does affect the mindset. We talked about farming. We talk about different things, right? It's just not always going to be politics, but this is the news of what's happening ever since this the presidency, the race. Now that it's over, now we can start looking at the big picture of what's changes are going to be made, right? So just be thinking about that. This is exactly what's going to be made. These changes are going to start taking place little by little. Of course, we have to work on our infrastructure first, right? As Americans, as patriots, we have to work on that. And you know what? this hating each other and all this stuff, about back and forth, the politics thing, and then people getting real violent. Get away from that, man. You don't need that. You don't need to be doing that. It's uncalled for, really, in reality. We now, whether you're upset about this or you're happy about this, there's no need to frown or to bicker or point fingers at anybody or just throw it at somebody's face because somebody won or somebody lost. Because you're just going to anger that person and it's just going to make it worse. And you don't want to do that. They have to live with it for 4 years. Here we go, right? So let's just we can agree to disagree on politics or news or anything that happens out there, but just take it in stride. It is what it is, right? And this is why that everybody says that it is what it is. And let's make sure that we can all live together in harmony as patriots, as Americans, American citizens. I know people are out there working hard to be American citizens as well. They came in legally and now they're doing all the paperwork to and it costs them thousands of dollars to do this, right? And which is the right thing to do, right? And they have small businesses out there, people that are starting to grow. Now, if you have a small business, just think about this for a minute. If you have a small business, you're going to be able to take off now. Now, you're not going to be so stuck in that bracket anymore to where your business is not making any money. But there was a lot of people, a lot of these large corporations that were losing their rear ends because of it, right? A lot of them were shutting down. Red Lobsters were shutting down. A couple of Applebee's were shutting down. These big places were shutting down. Even IHOP, the IHOP restaurants were shutting down. Not everything, but just some of them because they couldn't afford to keep these things open, right? Because it just costs too much money for food now these days, right? Once the market goes down, once the food prices go down, everybody's going to be hunky dory. You can go eat as much as you want, go to a buffet, knock yourself out, and you just kind of go from there, right? I mean, everybody be happy, you can be able to afford to take the whole family out, not just half, or don't leave the kid at home, right? You can take everybody out to eat, and it'll be better, right? So things will improve. I think they will improve as the Dow Jones just kind of gave us a hint of what's gonna happen, and this is gonna happen. It is going to happen. I can tell you right now, just by seeing what happened, not just in the elections, but how the Dow Jones spiked up, and just so they're getting ready. Basically, that's what's happening. They're getting ready. So in other words, a lot of these countries, he's going to charge them a little bit more to bring their stuff across over here because they get away with it real cheap. And then they charge us a whole lot of money for our stuff. And then it's like he told Germany, hey, how many BMW, how many American cars do you all have over here? They're like, well, not very many. He goes, how many BMWs we have over here? Exactly. So this is why he's wheels and deals and makes sure that our money stays in our pocket, our industries grow, and if it's easier for a corporation to grow in the United States and bring themselves from there to here, and they can grow a big company here, well, there you go. They hire more people, hundreds and thousands of people. Economy strives, everything starts getting better. Here we go, right? And that's how it works. Really, it's economics 101, man. Basically, it sounds easy, but it's not because there's a lot of paperwork. A lot of people are going to fight against it. Of course, in the Senate, and a lot of this has to be voted on. Really, in reality, this is why you voted for your senators, your governors, things like that, because these are the people that are the majority is gonna win no matter what. So, as long as it's there, because there's some Republicans or some Democrats that they vote either way, because some things they like, some things they don't. It is what it is, right? This is how politics works. And we just want to make sure it works in our favor so that way our bank accounts can grow back again. We can have our savings accounts back and we can take all the kids to Dairy Queen or McDonald's and have a good time, right? So anyway, all right, guys, catch up to the audio podcast here. That's going to be, I'm going to upload here in just a second. It's the audio. It's about, not just about as long as this one, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Very short one here on Facebook. We're on, where are we on? Facebook, Rumble, and YouTube. We are live right now. Hope you guys enjoy this. What we talk about. The next podcast is going to be coming out. I'll let you guys know. We'll be a totally different topic. And we do take phone calls as well, live on the air. All right. So we will start doing that on the video podcast only we'll start taking audio video phone calls, so that way you guys can, because your voice matters here at America's Podcast. We want to hear from you. Whatever it's bothering you, whatever in America, anything that the topic that we're talking about, even if you go off topic, that's okay. We'll be able to talk about it. I might have some guests on the show coming up soon. So hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. We'll see you on the next one. Be sure to follow us. All right, follow us.